produced by the People-Pueblo Party. And the People-Pueblo Party believes in common sense politics for the people, the planet, and the animals. And it's also sponsored by the People's Health Project Incorporated. And welcome, my name is Brother Mark. I'm one of the hosts, and I'm glad you're here. We try to start at 8 p.m. and end a little bit around 9 p.m. So welcome to our show tonight. We have two very special guests and our co-host. But before we start with tonight's topic is COVID-19 and the holidays. And we're going to have different folks talking about different holidays, what they mean, what they stand for, and also, pre and post-COVID, what changes had to be made in their celebration, and how did folks adapt to what's going on now. Right now, COVID in the United States is killing 3,000 people every single day. So while other countries around the world, like Cuba, like Singapore, like Australia, have gotten a control, like China have gotten a control on COVID, the United States, India, Brazil are some of the countries that have COVID, and the United Kingdom, of course, which has a new variant strain, are countries where COVID is completely out of control. And they're depending very, very heavily on a vaccine that hasn't gone through the full testing process yet. So as part of the decay and the destruction of the public sector in this country, that's why the United States is suffering the highest levels of death and also the highest levels of infection. So before we move on, I just wanted to, my mother-in-law is staying here with us, and it's great to have her with us. And she brought to my attention that one of the great singers of Puerto Rico, okay, I don't know what that was about, but it stopped me in my tracks. Tito Rojas recently in Puerto Rico died of a heart attack. And it kind of reminded me of my heart attack in 2018 and the different strokes that I had. And so, COVID is a very devastating pandemic. But before COVID, we had the pandemic of heart disease. And in the United States, heart disease was responsible for 800,000 deaths a year, 800,000, almost 1 million deaths a year. And so, just like heart disease, COVID and other pandemics are a product of our poisoned food industry, factory farming where animals are tortured and kept in filth, produce viruses and pandemics. People who live in overcrowded, unsanitary conditions produce viruses and pandemics. And so whether it's heart disease that's killing 800,000 people a day, or now with COVID, the world pandemic, it's all related to our poison food system. And, I've been promoting this book here, How to Survive a Pandemic. And, we don't have to guess where all these viruses are coming from. We don't have to listen to conspiracy theories. We don't have to pay attention to any of that, because books like this, and it was originally written in 2006, are documenting, and I was telling folks, a third of this book is just references, documentation about why and how these cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and the pandemics, they all come from the same source. It is our poison food supply. And so this country and many other countries, what they do is they have practices where they torture animals, keep them enclosed in factory farms with no windows. They feed them antibiotics on a regular. And it's just a breeding ground for viruses, bacteria, and pandemics that kill people. And so, it's very important that we don't that we don't listen to conspiracy theories, but we look at evidence. Well, where's the evidence? Where's the proof? Always ask, where's the evidence? Where's the proof? Because all the rich people in this country have to do is create doubt. And when we're in doubt, then we become easy to manipulate and easy to bamboozle. So on that note, I just want to say that, people got to pay more attention to their diet. I became plant-based vegan when I had my heart attack because it was the best thing for me, for people with cardiovascular disease. But there's another reason to become plant-based and vegan, and that's that the cruelty that's happening to animals is horrendous, is horrible, and it's spreading pandemics. So it's another good reason to be plant-based, to be vegan, is to really stop the destruction of the planet by these mega corporations, these companies that are making millions and billions off of our sickness, whether it's giving us medicine or whether it's selling us cheap food that's just poisonous for us. So, I just wanted to raise that today. And I did want to show, let's see if we can get it to happen. I did want to play one of Tito Roja's songs, just a few minutes, and remembers a Tito Roja who died in Puerto Rico recently of a heart attack, just like 800,000 other people suffer from cardiovascular disease and die from that in the United States. So I'm just going to play it, and I hope you enjoy it.
Nuevamente las horas medidas, ha pasado no sé cuánto tiempo desde aquel nuestro último encuentro. Como el aire que toca tu pelo, como lluvia que dejas caer, así soy para ti en los momentos que deseo volverte a tener. Y me siento un juguete en tus brazos, y al mirarte pierdo la razón, y me vuelvo a enredar en tu cuerpo, y me ahogo en el mar de tu amor. Siempre seré quien te calma tus deseos de amar, pero nunca llegaré a imaginar lo profundo que duerme en tu corazón. Siempre seré la ternura que despierta pasión, sin llegar a ser jamás la ilusión, ese amor fascinante que te enamoró. Como el aire que toca tu pelo, como lluvia que dejas caer, así soy para ti en los momentos que deseo volverte a tener. Y me siento un juguete en tus brazos, y al mirarte pierdo la razón, y me vuelvo a enredar en tu cuerpo, y me ahogo en el mar de tu amor. Siempre seré la ternura que despierta pasión, sin llegar a ser jamás la ilusión.
Well, that was a video, Tito Rojas video from 1991. And again, Tito Rojas from Puerto Rico, a great salsa musician, great, added a lot to Latin culture, died of a heart attack, something that most likely could have been completely averted and prevented. And like myself, I had a heart attack. Luckily, the paramedics were there. My wife caught it early, and then I switched over to a plant-based diet with no oil, because a lot of people say oil is good. I used to be a big fan of olive oil, and olive oil actually clogged up my arteries as bad as if I was eating a hamburger. So we really need to think about eating plant-based vegan diets to prevent heart disease, diabetes. Even type 2 diabetes can be cured by correcting your diet. You can reverse your heart disease and to prevent more pandemics from coming. So there's a lot of good, excellent reasons to go plant-based. And I recommend everybody pick up this book, How to Survive a Pandemic. And you'll learn more. And also there's a good video, which I watched again this weekend, called What the Health. And I'll put it in the chat. It's called What the Health, right? And it's a great video for people to watch. And it really does tell you the benefits of being plant-based, of having a vegan diet. And so without any further ado, let me go to today's topic. Today's topic is COVID and the holidays. I'm going to bring on our guests one at a time and introduce them as they come on. And I guess first we'll start with Robert Nisnoff. He's an educator, longtime organizer, and he's going to talk to us today about the significance of Hanukkah and give us some insight into why Hanukkah is still relevant, and also what adaptations needed to be made that he had to make to celebrate it pre and post COVID. And of course, I'm going to bring in our next guest, and I'm going to leave my co-host for last because I know he'll want to address the audience before we start tonight. So our next guest is Esperanza Martel, longtime activist, organizer, and vegetarian for about 50 years, a mentor of mine and of many people in the movement. And so I guess her introduction could probably go on for the length of the show, but I'm going to leave it at that. And whatever else I left out that she feels is important, I'll let her bring that on. Now, let me see, where is Brother Bill? Let me see, he's here. Bill is not on right now. Oh, that's surprising. All right, so what we're going to do is we'll start, and then when Bill comes in, we'll just give him a turn, because it looks like he fell off. He was backstage waiting, and then he fell off. But what I'll do is I'll add this symbol here, because Bill was going to focus on Kwanzaa. So let's start with Esperanza. Why don't we start with you? Because I know you're on your phone, and we don't want that signal to disconnect. So tell us a little bit about the holidays that you will share with us.
Okay. So I'm going to be speaking about the return of the sun, which is, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the solstice, which is, it's okay, you can hear me clearly? It's okay, you can hear me clearly?
Okay, so we're getting feedback.
I'm getting feedback too.
Okay. All right. So why don't you hang up and then come back on? Because I think that'll get rid of the feedback.
I'm getting feedback too.
Okay. All right. So why don't you hang up and then come back on? I think that'll get rid of the feedback. All right, Bill.
Okay.
I went to you.
Yeah, what's up?
All right, Bill.
Yeah.
I went to you. All right. So we're getting a lot of feedback tonight. Let me get rid of this right here. I think that should do it. Try now.
All right, you talking to me?
Yeah, try now.
All right, you talking to me?
Testing.
I think we're still
testing,
getting feedback more.
testing, Mark.
Try now.
All right, you talking to me?
Yeah.
Testing. Can you hear me, Mark?
I think we're still getting feedback more.
Testing, Mark.
Try now.
All right, you talking to me?
Yeah.
Testing. Can you hear me, Mark?
I think we're still getting feedback more.
Testing, Mark.
Try now.
All right, you talking to me?
I know. When you're backstage, you can't hear anybody. All right. Let's see if this works. Okay. So let's go to Bill first. Okay, try now, Bill.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Testing, Mark. Can you hear me? Mark.
Okay, try now, Bill.
Can you hear me? Testing, testing, testing. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Testing, Mark. Can you hear me? Mark.
Okay, try now, Bill.
Can you hear me? This is William Hargraves the third coming at you. Copy.
Go.
Copy. Okay. All right. All right. This is just an introduction, right? That's all I'm doing right now. Am I correct?
Can you see me on the screen, Bill?
All right. Yeah, I can see everybody. Can you hear me? I'm saying, what is this? This is just an introduction. I'm not going into Kwanzaa right now, am I?
You see my 2 thumbs up?
Yes, I see your 2 thumbs.
Well,
You
then
see
there
my
go.
2 thumbs?
Yeah, let's go. Get it.
All right. Okay. I'm just asking, can you hear me? And is this just an introduction, or am I going into Kwanzaa, or what? How you want to take it?
Well, the thing is, I'm trying to talk less to see if there's less of an echo. So I'm going to be
Good.
giving you hands.
No echo right now.
Okay. So before
right.
the echo
All right,
comes
well,
back,
I'm just
yes,
saying-
give me an introduction.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to welcome everybody. I'm glad everybody found the importance to come together and spend a little time with us in this holiday season. And like Mark said, COVID hasn't went away. Matter of fact, some people say it's on the third wave. So we're going to discuss that. But being that we're in the holiday season, we have multiple holidays right now. We have Hanukkah, we have Christmas, and we have Kwanzaa. So we're going to address all 3 of those holidays moving forward. So as co-host William R. Hargreaves III, as I mentioned earlier, I just want to welcome everybody. I'm gonna give it back to you, Mark.
Okay, let's go to USB. Let's try this thing again. Let's see where it goes. Let's see where it takes us.
Okay. Celebrating the return of the light. And that's what all these holidays are. Whether we're talking about Hanukkah, the solstice celebration, Christmas, Kwanzaa, or the Three Kings. In early times, as mythology tells us, when you look at how human beings explain their reality, one of the ways was through the stars and the movement, the seasonal movement of the sun and the moon. So these celebrations is what gives us hope. It gives us hope. We create stories to understand our reality, stories based on our experiences. So that's where all these celebrations come from. And the indigenous people of the world watch the stars. They watch the stars. So in astrology, people know each star has a name. So Sirius is one of the stars, eh, and that's the star of the east. And we know that eh, that the sun is born in the east. It races every day in the east. Now, there's also Orion, the constellation of Orion. Orion has 3 stars on his belt. Those 3 stars are supposed to be the 3 wise men, the three kings who were following the star where the son was going to be born, aka baby Jesus. I'm saying the story like this so that you could get the connection of it. So the solstice celebration is a celebration of the darkest night and the shortest day and the return of the sun. And it happens worldwide. One of the big festivals is in Stonehenge in England. And they were very affected by COVID. The festival itself was done virtually. So the thousands of people that usually come were not there. And that's the big impact on all these different celebrations, ancient celebrations. Before Christ was born, Stonehenge was being celebrated. Indigenous people of Latin America, the Aztecs, before Christ was born, were having celebration of the return of the sun. And the indigenous people of Asia and the indigenous people of North America and of Africa, everybody celebrates the return of the sun. So I celebrate the solstice, have been doing it for years, and usually I have what is called a goddess tea party, in where we put up our Kwanzaa table, and we also celebrate the change of the season. And one of the things we do is that we interchange a teacup, because the idea is that your gift needs to be personal, not a teacup that you bought, but a teacup that you love, and you give people your favorite tea. That we could not do because we had to do it virtually also. So many of the solstice celebrations, as the Christmas celebration, as Kwanzaa, and as the Three Kings Day celebration, are going to be virtual. However, I did do two small gatherings by the river to celebrate the solstice. One was with women drummers. It was brick cold out there in the snow. We had a fire and we were drumming. This was in Washington Heights, in Fort Washington Park. And we were distancing, and everybody had masks, very conscious of everything. But it's really important for us to lift the energies, to honor our ancestors. And the drum, the heart of this planet, needed to be activated. And all the people who were there were are community organizers. From the Obatala drummers to the Healing Drum Collective. Urban Atabex, which is the organizing and healing and community organization that I am part of, we celebrated Monday morning during the solstice. There was a call nationwide for indigenous people to do prayer ties and to be and and fire and be out first thing in the morning to really pray to our ancestors, to ask for forgiveness, and to be in gratitude. And we were out there doing that. Again, small group of people. I think we were 6. Distancing and being in communion, in community, and really generating peace and dignity for all of us on this planet, given the times. And also, many of us have experienced death, a lot of loss, and death comes in many ways. It could be someone physically dying, and it could be losing a job, and it could be just not being able to find your true self, losing yourself. So we worked on all that. I did the 12 days of Christmas in the park. I did beautiful pine tree. It was the song. What is the song? Something in a pear tree. Well, mine was.
Yeah. The 12 days of Christmas.
Yes, mine was a squirrel up a pine tree.
Okay.
And I did an installation. It came out really beautiful. And the idea was people throw garbage. So I picked up garbage and I made decorations. And it was, my hashtag is can your garbage, no, can your rubbish. So this was my political action during the holidays. It's still up there. It's going to be there until the 6th of January because, I'm a Puerto Rican, and we, as a colonialized peoples, we celebrate everything. And we love celebrations. We love to parties, any excuse to party. So we actually start the holidays at Thanksgiving, and they actually go until January 8th, Lauterita, and because we do Three Kings Day. Three Kings Day is our real celebration, even though the commercial thing of the Christmas, the tree, the lights. I mean, you think you're in suburbia, USA, if you go to Puerto Rico. The lights are just like that. But the heartfelt piece is Three Kings Day. And one of the things that we do from Thanksgiving on is that we do parrandas, which is we go to different houses and it's like caroling, but in a very big way. And we sing bombi plena, which is our traditional music and song. And we show up unexpectedly. People have food for us and we sing. And of course, there's drinking also. And you do that every day. Some people do it every day until the 8th. So that's part of it. The other thing is that on the 6th, we do what Rosarios Cantados.
Hold on, Esther, hold on. Let's bring the rest in the conversation. So I'm going to let Robert come on, and then we'll.
Oh, I wanted to finish.
Okay.
This Christian piece. I just wanted to finish it.
Okay.
So the Three Kings. Where was I? No. Yes. So the Cantados, the Rosario Cansados are sung rosaries.
Mm.
And what you do is that you make a promise, a Three Kings Day promise. You ask something from the Three Kings. For many years, the people organizing to free Oscar Lopez Rivera and all political prisoners would do these rosaries. And it's we asked for Oscar's freedom, and then we gave something in return. Something in return could be, give us Oscar's freedom, and we will give you um gifts for children, right? Different people. And if someone's sick, they make a promise.
Like they call it promesa, no?
The promesa.
Like sometimes people be like, I wish something happens and I won't cut my hair or something.
Yes,
Yes.
right. Promesa de aguinaldos. Aguinaldos are the sung rosaries. So maybe if there's time, I'll sing you a little piece of my favorite aguinaldo.
There's definitely gonna be time for that. You can
Go.
count on it. You can count on it. All right, so I'm gonna bring Brother Robert on. Talk to us a little bit about the significance of Hanukkah and changes that needed to be made because of COVID. There you go.
Hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. Good evening, everybody. Wishing everybody a very happy, healthy, and most importantly, safe holiday season. Glad to see everybody that can be here. Thank you, Esperanza. That was an education right there. I just learned a whole bunch of stuff I had no idea about. So thank you very much. That was enlightening. I'm going to try to do 5,000 years of Judaism in about 120 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to try because I know we have to get Bill and there's other issues to discuss. Kind of piggybacking on what Esperanza said, yes, the Judaism as we know it probably started around 5,000 years ago, okay, with the North African nomadic tribe called the Epirus. And that word Epiru morphed into the word Hebrew. And that's where we get the word Hebrew from. As best most historians can say, they worship a single God, which was unique because most of the indigenous peoples of that time were polytheistic. Their God was known as Yahweh. And this God, Yahweh, is still worshipped today by Jews. We don't say the name. He's designated as a male god, not a goddess, but a male god. And when you read Hebrew, the letters of his name are basically come out to he who shall not be named, because to name a god in ancient antiquity means you become a god. So it was something that you did not do. You did not speak the name of a god. And this is still practiced today, 5,000 years later. We have other names. We say Hashem, we say Adonai, but we will not say Yahweh, not during our prayers. So kind of fast forwarding, most of us are familiar with what is known as the Old Testament. It's also the Jewish Torah, and it lays out sort of the history of the Jewish people and their relationship with this one God and how it progressed over a series of time. And I think most of us are familiar with the Moses story and other stories, Joshua and Jericho and King David, King Solomon, and so forth. We're all very familiar with those stories. But Hanukkah is something different. Hanukkah is a more modern Jewish story. It takes place before the birth of Jesus, but only about 175 years before the birth of Jesus. So I think probably all of us are familiar with Alexander of Macedon, who is also called Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great had amassed this huge military empire. and he died in 323 BC at the age of 30 or 33, I forgot. He was a very young man, and he was poisoned by his own generals because they wanted to take over. There was a huge amount of infighting among those generals once he passed away, and different sections of his empire were given to different generals. In the case of what's now known as the Middle East, two generals, one took over Egypt, Ptolemy, and one, Seleucus, took over Syria, what is now known as modern-day Syria. There ended up being a war between these two generals in around 200 BC, and Seleucus won. Seleucus beat Ptolemy. And so Seleucus took over Egypt at that time. And at that point, also invaded the dual kingdoms of Judea and Israel. The Jewish homeland, as it was at the time, consisted of what we know now as modern-day Israel and the Palestinian territories. And it was broken down into two kingdoms, one which was known as Israel, one which is known as Judea. Seleucus ended up conquering Judea and Israel, and he implemented a program known as Hellenism, and named after Helen of Troy. And this was promoting a traditional Greek culture into the Jewish religion, the Jewish homeland, and in all phases of Jewish life. And what he did, and basically, was at first Seleucus and his first, and then his first heir, Aristophanes, were fairly respectful of Jewish traditions and Jewish culture. Even though they pushed forward this pro-Greek culture, they also allowed Jews to worship in their own traditional ways and to practice their own rituals and routines and their daily lifestyle. The third king, the third heir of that, Aristophanes III, was not such a nice guy. He basically said, the time for letting Jews be Jews is gone. And we're going to come now with an entirely pro-Greek program. And whoever doesn't get on board is going to die by the sword. And that's exactly what happened. And so this went on for maybe 5 or 6 years at about 170, maybe 165 BC. And the straw that broke the camel's back was the desecration of the Holy Temple. So in Jerusalem, for thousands of years, there was the Holy Temple that was consecrated by Joshua, because Moses never made it to the Holy Land. So Joshua consecrated it, and it had been destroyed once and rebuilt. Now, what Aristophanes III did is he allowed prostitution to take place inside the Holy Temple. He allowed pigs to be sacrificed and slaughtered and actually eaten. And if you know anything, I'm sure most of you do, Jewish dietary laws, Muslim dietary laws prohibit the eating of any kind of meat from a pig. Just don't. It's considered an unholy, unclean animal in Jewish tradition. And this is sort of what caused a revolution to take place. And it became, now, to backtrack just for a second, many Jews were in favor of this pro-Greek culture and pro-Greek program. They saw it as a way to, especially many Jewish women, who in traditional Judaism, there is not always a place for Jewish women to have the same kind of structure and say as Jewish men. Within a pro-Greek culture, there were more opportunities, according to what historians wrote. So a lot of more wealthy Jewish families were on board with this. Traditionalists were not. And this was the revolution that took place. So there was a high priest, Menelaus, who sided with the Syrian, who sided with Aristophanes. And there was another high priest who, God, I'm forgetting my Hebrew school stories. There was another high priest, his name will come to me, whose sons were named Mattathias and Judah. And they decided they were going to revolt and have an armed revolution against the Syrian regime. And over the next 5 years, they fought a successful guerrilla campaign. Again, and they were heavily outnumbered. They did not have the military hardware of the time. They did not have an army. They had to fight completely in sort of a desert-style warfare, as well as guerrilla tactics. But they were committed, and they wore them down. And in 160, I believe, BC, they defeated the Seleucid Syrian regime, got them out of Israel, got them out of Judea. Now, the Hanukkah story, where you light the menorah and you put the candles up and you throw the candles, okay, this is where the mythology and miracle part comes in. So apparently Judah, and he became known as Judah Maccabee. Maccabee is the Hebrew word for hammer. So he was known as Judah the Hammer. Judah Maccabee goes into Jerusalem, goes into the Holy Temple.
Hold on a second, Robert. Esperanza Martel. You know what Martel means in French?
I do not.
It means the hammer.
I do not.
It means the hammer.
Oh, amazing. Okay.
So
there you go. Well,
the hammer.
In Israel, she would be
the hammer, right?
She would be Esperanza.
What do you mean?
Yeah, she's Esperanza Maccabee. Esperanza Maccabee.
Maccabee and Martel, the same word for hammer.
Yeah.
Well, it's northern. It's a northern barber name.
Ah, okay.
It might be.
Yeah.
Could be.
All right, go ahead, Rob.
They both have the same first couple of letters. So I'll to finish up. The holy menorah, the candle holder, in the Jewish religion, candles have to be burning 24/7. It doesn't matter what's going on. You could have earthquakes and tidal waves going on outside. Inside the temple, the holy light has to be going on 24/7. As the story goes, there was one tiny little vial of olive oil, which was enough to light the candles for one day. But the miracle of Hanukkah is that until they could get more olive oil, that one little vial of oil lasted 8 days and 8 nights. And that's called the celebration of the lights. And that's where Hanukkah comes from. Now, the only thing that makes me pause is that in the original book of Maccabees, which is in the New Testament, they don't talk about any kind of vial of olive oil at all. That comes around 300 years later in the Talmud. So the original people who wrote about the events never bring this up. It's only mentioned 300 years later. But at that point in time, Rome had taken over all pretty much the known world, much of the known world. And apparently Jewish people needed miracles pretty badly. We needed miracles. We needed a sense of hope, because living under Roman rule apparently was not a whole lot of fun. And so this story of Hanukkah and the Festival of Lights has kind of taken off from there. What I think is really, really interesting about this, and then I'll stop because I know we still have a lot to talk about, is the fact that these band of Jews, okay, understood that in order to make change, revolutionary change, it was not just about a military victory. They had to literally educate large numbers of Jews living in both kingdoms in order to have their support. Because without, as you well know, no kind of revolt or revolution can ever be successful without the support of the masses. And they went out and they did this. Political education of that time was huge for this story. It's not something that gets spoken about a lot, but it is always one, to me, that is really educational and inspiring. So now, in terms of COVID, just as Esperanza said, and just as Mark, we've spoken about, I was not able to be with my family. As you know, I've spoken to you. My father had been in the hospital recovering from a stroke. He just came home the other day, so we're very happy about that. But none of my family have been able to be in touch with each other. Mm-hmm. Everything is done, thank you, Bill. Everything is done by Zoom meeting. Prayers are said all the time, because as Esperanza also just said, we're always hearing about someone who's passed away. We're always hearing about someone who's lost a job. We're always hearing about someone who's even so depressed that a friend of mine said that he thought about suicide many times over these last several months. And I think if the holidays means anything, it's reaching out to everybody we know and trying to give them a sense of hope through these stories and letting them know that all their lives have meaning and value. So that's I think COVID has made me double down on that. So thank you very much for the time, and I'll turn it over back to you guys. Thank you so much.
Right. Thanks, Robert, and thanks, Esperanza. I think we're going to run over a little bit today because we do have to come back to Esperanza because the beginning of the show, there was some echo that was kind of stopping us from starting. And I definitely want to hear her song tonight. I'm not ending this show until I hear her song, okay? Or that piece of a song. Whatever it is, I'm going to hear it tonight. But without further ado, I'm going to bring on Brother Bill. And he's going to talk to us because I think that, you know, Espy and Robert, you've raised the fact that over time, traditions change, right? They have to adapt to the current situation in order for them to continue to be relevant to people. And I think that's a very important link. So, Brother Bill, it's on you, brother. Bill, we can't hear you. Yeah. I see his mouth moving, but I can't hear him. Let me see. Try something else, Bill, because that's not happening. You're not on mute. Hold on, hold on. Let me try this. Then do this. 3, 2, 1. All right, try now, Bill. It's funny, right? You can hear Bill any other time except when he has to present. Like, what is up with that, right? Like, come on. Can we hear you? No. I wonder what the problem is, man. Oh, man. All right, let me see. Nothing going on there. All right. Can't hear it, Bill? Bro, you know what? Log off and log back on. Maybe that'll reboot it. Okay, so log back on. All right. So, Espy, I guess we're ready for your
Okay. So part of the celebration of the Three Kings. So I was born in Puerto Rico, but I grew up in New York. And one of the things that you do is that the Three Kings come to Puerto Rico on horses, not on camels. And the Three Kings, of course, one is African, and one is from the Middle East, and one is from Asia. And what we do as children is that we, with a box, little shoe box, we save the shoe box. We put grass in it underneath the bed for the camels, right? And then the camels come, eat the grass, and they leave us a gift. And there's different songs in La Bajandas, and it's just, this is a short. If you want, I'll wait until Bill talks in case I don't want to lose him again.
Okay, so Bill, are you good now?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I better do this quick, huh?
Let's go before something goes wrong, man.
Yeah.
I think I want to thank Espy and Robert for sharing their information with us. I want to send my condolences out to a speedy and full recovery to your father, Robert. I also want to maybe share with your friend that's thought about suicide many times. I always say this in terms of suicide. Maybe you want to say this to him. Suicide never solves any problem. If you have loved ones that you're willing to leave, it creates more problems than it solves. It ends your problem, but people who needed you rely on you that you don't even know, and some that you do, it creates more problems. It's a very selfish move, and for him to rethink that and think of it in terms of that way, because it's not a cure-all. It's a beginning of new issues for other people that's still here that wants to struggle and strive to have a better life. All right. So that being said, I also want to say that one of the things that I got from y'all that I already knew, that hopefully other people, if they didn't know, that they do know now, or everything that we was talking about originates from Africa, from Mother Africa. The original man, the original continent is Mother Africa, and everything springboard off of that. So that being said, I think it's appropriate to talk about Kwanzaa, because these other holidays that we talk about is political or religious holidays. Kwanzaa, when you think about when its origin came in from Dr. Malana Karenga in 1966 in California, he was an African American educator, and he was a nationalist. And also, you have to think about the times in which Kwanzaa came into being. You got to think about the assassination of Omega Edwards, Dr. King, Malcolm X. That was all in that time frame. So again, to a point where if you're going to help yourself and you're going to keep getting slaughtered, and these are people that's leading us, we have to generate something that's meaningful and effective for us. So we had holidays that like Kwanzaa, you had Black Solidarity Day, that within the same couple of year time frames, these things that we started. And there's other holidays that we started at that time, and earnest starting to celebrate Juneteenth and the likes. So I just wanted to put that out there as a prelude to what I actually have to say pertaining to Kwanzaa. It's a non-religious political holiday. It's a 7-day event. It starts on December 26th and it goes to January 1st. And the reason why Dr. Malana Karenga chose this time is because Christmas was very commercialized, and it put an undue hardship on Black people of color, or even people that weren't Black, that wasn't on a high economic strain. So it allowed you to be a part of the holiday spirit and to take away some of the hardship that befell a lot of people. I remember as a kid, my mother used to tell us a lot of people are going to get evicted at the beginning of the year. And I would ask her, I said, why is that? And she said, because people won't pay their rent, but they'll buy a Christmas present. Then it come time to pay their rent and they would get paid out. And in those days, they didn't have the marshals come and put a padlock on your door. They put your stuff on the curb. It didn't matter. So Kwanzaa gave people another outlet. And, you know, to go over some of the things before I get really deep into Kwanzaa superficially, the gifts could be practical gifts. You can spend money to get an expensive gift in Kwanzaa. They don't frown upon that, but they encourage you to do practical things that you can maybe make or buy a book, something that's practical, something that's educational, things of that nature, a pencil, whatever, a drawing, a painting. But if you want to splurge, you can by all means splurge. So now, getting into Kwanzaa itself, it's a Swahili. It means first fruit. And it has 7 days. It has 7 principles. On those 7 principles, we incorporate in our everyday the culture of building the Black nation, the Black community, because we were always here. We were brought here oppressed. The laws of the land that they made was oppressed. And they keep, even to today, they changed the law to oppress us. That's why we had 2 pandemics this year. We had the COVID-19 and we had the global realization, and I mean global, not just national, global realization about the atrocity that's continued to befall African Americans as recently as this week, when a brother got killed, and he had the wherewithal to film it because he knows that when it involved in the cop, that we can our demise might be imminent. So when we talk about Kwanzaa, we talk about building a community. We talk about the 7 principles. We greet each other with Habar Regati, which means what's the news. And what you do when somebody say Habar Regati for the 7 days, you greet them back, whatever the principle of the first of that day is. Like the first day today would be day 3, but the first day would be, a lot of people pronounce it Umoja because it's spelled Umoja, but it's Umoja. And that talks about unity. It talks about unity within the community, unity within the nation, unity within the race. But before, and I want to get into this, I will step back in a minute. But before we do Kwanzaa, what we always do, we incorporate libation. And we incorporate libation because we can't forget our ancestors. We talk about the past of Africa. We talk about the presence of America. And we look and we do a overview of where we've been as to where we're trying to go. And we include the ancestors because we believe that the ancestors is an intricate part of our being. So we don't exclude them because we learned too much from them and we learned so much from our elders. It's a sign of respect. And most time when we do the libation, we ask for permission. And we don't go forward until we get permission. That permission is usually granted by the elder or the oldest person in the room, whether it be male or female. Okay? And so we light the candles, which is 7 candles. It's the black candle goes in the middle. And then you have 3 on the left side, which are green, 3 on the right side, which are red. You light the first one, the black one first, and then you alternate. You go from left green to right red, to left green to right red. And you continue that till you go from from Umoja to Amani, which is the 7th day. And on the 7th day, I'm doing a quick synopsis of it. On the 7th day, it's a feast. What we do, we have a feast, we partake, we celebrate, and we just reflect. So, that being said, I have a table set up. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see the table. I'm gonna try and see if I can do the table where you can see the table by relocating my computer to show you how my table is set up. And you'll tell me, can you see the table?
Yeah.
Can you see everything?
Yes. Well,
All right.
you got
You
the
can see it.
fruit, you got the menorah, you have the candles. You got a big screen TV.
Yeah, I should have put it on the screen TV. Okay, so all right, so if you can see it, one of the things that I want you to notice is that you see the fruit, right?
Yeah.
You can see the fruit right here, Mark.
Yes.
Okay. Do you? It means first harvest, so we have fruit. Okay, and if you see this basket, do you see the corn?
Okay.
Can
Well,
you see?
listen, Jessica says put the screen down a little,
Okay.
that we can only see the top.
All right. You know what? Can you see it better like that?
No, it's the other way. It's the other way.
My seat is but so low. Okay. All right. So I'm out to hold it.
All right.
Can you see it now?
No, you got to point it down towards the. Yeah.
Okay.
That was better. Yeah,
Okay.
that's much better.
Let's try that. Yeah, can you see it? You can see.
Now
You can
it's
see.
perfect. Now it's
All
perfect.
right. It's perfect. Okay. You can see me.
If you bend down,
All right. You can see me.
now we're good.
Right. You can see the fruit, right?
Yes.
Can you count? Can you count the ears of corn in the fruit?
Oh, I thought those were bananas. All right. It looks like
You do have bananas, but you got corns too.
Okay, so there's 2 corn. Yeah.
And there's another one. You see this corn?
Yeah, I see that one.
So it's a total of 3 corns. Why am I pointing out the corns? I'm pointing out the corn because the corn represent the amount of children in your house.
Oh.
So if you come in somebody's house and they have the canara set up and they have their placemat set up, which is usually straw, or in this case is mud cloth or kente cloth, it tells you that there's 3 children in that house.
Mm.
My children are grown, so these 3 corns represent my 3 grandkids, which is the next generation.
Mm.
Okay, so now you also have fruit adorning it. This is my canara.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little fancy. It has the same face on this side as a double-headed canara. Here's the black candle, and then you go from left to right. If I was facing it, that would be my left, but since I'm behind it, it's my right. Okay, and these are gifts. They don't have to be expensive gifts. This is some of the gifts my kids don't know. I always buy a gift. We have hand sanitizers, not an expensive gift. Everybody get his hand sanitizer. This is one of these a body rub. One of these is body scrub. One is salt based. One is sugar based. In here is salt based and sugar based. Also, we have a book. This is a story book pertaining to the Bible. This is mass. This mass happens to be glow in the dark mask. This is my unity cup. This is shea butter. This is shea butter that we use, and this is other things. This is some oil for your hair. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to do a couple of things just to make it so that we can have a little bit of the Kwanzaa experience. Okay, I want to do libation. Okay, and libation is participatory, so you can participate in the libation. It's for everybody. Okay, you still can see me, Mark?
Yes.
Or should I come to or so this is the unity cup. Now with the unity cup, you pour the libation in, and now during COVID times, we wouldn't do what some people do. They pour the libation in the unity cup and they pass the cup around and everybody takes a sip of it. But you don't have to do that. So one of the things is we pay homage to our ancestors and we say Ashe. And people spell it two different ways. Some people spell it A-S-H-E with the accent over the E, and some people spell it A-S-E. And it still meant the same, it has the same meaning. And it means basically that you agree. Okay? You gotta get that? So it means that you agree. All right. So with no further ado, we're gonna pour libation. He coming? Yeah. Could you hurry up? Thank you. So when I pour libation, I'm gonna say certain things, and I just want y'all to say Ashe if you agree. If not, you can be quiet, but it's going to be quick. But what we do, okay? We're going to pour libation for the motherland, cradle of civilization. You would say Ashe.
Ashe.
And for the ancestors and indomitable spirit, Ashe. For the elders for whom we learned so much from, Ashe.
Ashe.
For the youth who represent the future. We can't do anything without visiting our past and our future. Ashe.
Ashe.
And for the people, the original people, the African people. Ashe.
Ashe.
And for our struggle and in remembrance of those who struggle on our behalf.
Ashe.
Ashe. And that could be included us. The fact that we're here when we could be doing something else because we believe in the struggle and we believe in finding the answer. And for Umoja, the principle of unity, which gives us the guide for the creator who provides all things, whether it be small or large. Ashe.
Ashe.
And finally, we have a call to the ancestors. Now, everybody has ancestors. Anybody who has moved on, a lot of times people want to say the obvious, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Sojourner Truth. But your ancestors is your parents, is your siblings. So when I say an ancestor, you can say, we're going to do it 3 times. So I'm going to say 3 ancestors. I'm going to say 4 because I'm going to start and then you're going to chime in. Whoever comes to your mind. And I'm going to say William R. Hargrave Sr. So y'all say somebody. William R. Hargraves Jr.
Ashe.
Richard Hargrave. So what I wanted y'all to do is instead of say Ashe, I wanted you to say somebody who passed away in your ancestor yours. Okay? So I'll say Malcolm X. You say somebody, Mark.
Anna Cruz.
All right, I'll say Hannibal. You say something, Robert.
Let's see. My grandfather, Morris Nisanoff.
Ashe. All right, I'll say who could I say? David Dinkins. Who would you say, Esme?
María de los Ángeles Gaitán Cruz.
And that's how we include and we remember the ancestors and we bring them into the discussion and we don't forget them. So what I'm concluded with is I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to light the first candle, which is the black candle. And you can see I got brand new candles. Candles was expensive this year. Let me tell you, it's $20, these candles. All right, so I'm going to light this one. And I'm going to ask Espy. I'm assuming Espy, you're the oldest. Do I have permission to light these candles?
You have permission.
Thank you. So, Abaragati, we're going to say the first principle for the first day, which was Umoja.
Moja.
Moja.
Unity.
Unity.
Unity in the community, unity in the nation, and unity for the race. Okay? So now we're going to go from left to right, but being I'm backwards, I'm going to do the green one is actually to my right. All right? Abaragati. What was the second principle?
Kuchikachakulia.
Okay, and what does that mean? Anybody want to say?
Self-determination.
Self-determination. That's right. And that means we define ourselves, we name ourselves, we speak for ourselves so that we are no longer defined, spoken by others. Okay? And today's principle, which is Abaragati, which would be?
Today is the 4th day, right?
The 3rd day.
Ujima.
Oh, today's
Ujima, which is collective
Work and
responsibility to build and maintain our community, which is important. It's important for us to take a lead in the changes that we strive to be. All right. So this will keep us current to the 3 days. And it also with Ujima, which is one of my favorite principles, not my favorite. It talks about taking upon our brothers and sisters' problems and solving them together. Instead of asking for our oppressors to solve it, we have to become the changes that we see. So that would be the first 3 days, and then we'll go to the 4th candle, which would be the Ujima, which is cooperative economics, and that says to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other business, and profit for them together. It's still talking about a collective, cohesive oneness within the African community. Because if you have a child and you spend 10 years telling that child you ain't shit, you ain't never gonna be shit, and how long do you think it would take to undo that harm that you inflicted on that child? If you earnestly try to, you can do it, but it would take some time. And ever since we've been bought and stolen from our land, nobody has taken the time to reverse the curse and the hardship that and the separation of family and that we still see today as a byproduct of that. So we have to incorporate these type of things, and we have to own them so that we can become a better, powerful person and return to the wisdom that we always maintain, kings and queens. We need to do that. And so I would go then to the 5th candle, which would be this red candle, and it would be Nia, to make our collective vocation, the building and developing our community in order to restore our people to our traditional greatness, which I just touched upon. That's very important. And that's very important to instill into our kids. We need to do that because they don't teach them American history in school, because if they did, they would know more about themselves. So it's important for us to do that. And then we go to Kwanzaa, and it would be the last candle on the left, the green candle, and that's to always do as much as we can in the way that we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited. So it's a lot of work to do. It's tiresome work, but it's up to us to do this, because we can't expect somebody to care for us more than we care for ourselves. And then last but least, it's Amani. You do the last red candle, and that means faith. To believe with all your heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, in the righteousness and the victory of our struggle. You can't just do it. You got to believe it. You got to embrace it. You got to teach that. You got to cultivate that. You got to develop that. And these principles should be principles that we try to maintain each and every day. So that's my brief demonstration of Kwanzaa. And I hope that people who haven't celebrated that will start to celebrate it and look more into it, whether you're African American or others. So that kind of concludes my report. Thank you.
All right. Thank
you, Bill.
Thanks for the presentation. And thanks, Robert. Thanks, Esperanza. And we're going to go a little bit longer than usual today because it's important to do that. Especially since in the beginning, the time was kind of messed up a little bit because of the echo and the sound. But, we're going to come back to you And thanks
Okay.
for that.
So again, this is a celebration of bringing back the light, bringing back hope into our hearts. And in the worst of times, like the times that we're going through now, it's so important that we come together as family, as the human family, and celebrate our existence and our love of this planet. So I'm going to leave you with this little song. I translated it, so I'll give you the quick translation. Happy I come from my mountain home. Happy I am. And for my friends, I bring them the best flowers from my rose garden. So a ver. Alegre vengo de mi cabaña, que alegre estoy. Y a mis amigos te traigo flores de las mejores de mi rosal. Y a mis amigos te traigo flores de las mejores de mi rosal. And I bring the best to my friends,
Bless you.
to all of you,
Thank you.
from my heart,
Thank you.
from
Bless
my
you.
rose garden to you.
Thank you.
We will be free. Freedom is ours
Ashe.
because
Ashe.
we make it so.
Right.
Ashe.
Thank you. We had wonderful presentations tonight. Thank you, Esperanza, Robert, Bill. That was great.
Thank you, Mark.
And I really appreciate it. And let me just go around one last time to see if there's any last words or announcements that you would like to make before we start closing out. So on my screen now, Robert, you're on the right. Bill, you're on the Robert, and SB, you can go after Bill. Let's just go around real quick if there's one last thing you'd like to share or any announcements you'd like to make before we start closing up the program. So go ahead, Robert.
Just to wish everybody the happiest, healthiest, and safest of holidays, that we're all striving for the same goal. And a show like this just was inspirational to me because both from Esperanza and Bill, I learned just so much about what I had no idea existed before. And I want to thank you both very, very much for that and wish you a very healthy, happy, and safe holiday season.
Thank you, Robert. I just want to echo really from a humanitarian perspective, Robert. My prayers again go out to your father, and at least he's trying to heal. He's on the mend, but I'm more concerned for your friend, and I really would like for you to tell him that it creates more problems than it solves, and maybe that'll touch his heart.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you, Bill. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
In these times of COVID, I think that's what is functioning for the state, for the capitalists, is the fear that they have generated in all of us. And I think it's very important that we reconnect to nature, that as much as possible, people go to parks, to rivers, to lakes, especially bodies of water where there's a lot of oxygen, and open up to the healing that the planet offers us. The healing is there. It doesn't matter how cold or how hot it is. Touch the earth, be with the earth, and celebrate yourselves. And celebrate yourself, because we are all amazing human beings. We have ancestors that gave their all so that we could be present at this time in history. And we need to find the way. The way for each one of us is different. And for me, is walking every other day by the river and just being with self. I go early, there's no one there, there's runners, they're very far from me. You know, I'm still sheltering and taking care of myself.
Of course.
You know, but it's very important to touch and hug a tree because we can hug each other. Many blessings, and there is love. I am one.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Brother Robert, Brother Bill, Sister Ashley. Thank you so much. I mean, I learned so much tonight and also reinforced or re-energized me in terms of what we're doing, because the decay of the American empire is going to be devastating for people in this country, but for people all over the world. As these empires decay and collapse, there's a common thread of more disease, more killing, more incarceration, more torture. And we really have to be there for each other. And it doesn't mean that we agree on every single thing. That's not even necessary. But if we agree on the key things, right, of the fact that life is precious, if we can agree on that, it'll take us a long way in taking action to save lives. And I just want to bring an announcement here. We are having a People's United Front meeting this Sunday at 2 p.m. If you're interested in that, you can contact us on Messenger here, or I'll put my number in the chat and you can give me a call. And what it is, it's a national coalition, and it's in the spirit of exactly what all of y'all talked about tonight, you know, and it's in the spirit of saving lives. And they're having a planning meeting because on Monday, January 18th, Dr. Martin Luther King Day, we're going to have a national day of action. People in California, in Louisiana, in Wisconsin, in Detroit, in Baltimore, in New York City will be taking actions. Our action will be, we're going to have a car caravan. We're going to have a speak out on 125th Street. And we're also going to use this format to talk about reclaiming the legacy of Dr. King, because it's important to know that he had a dream, but it's also important to know that he was against the war in Vietnam. He had initiated the first Poor People's Campaign for union workers and non-union workers to live a decent life. And so the anti-racist piece, it cannot be disconnected from the anti-class piece, the fact that the rich people oppress poor people. You can't separate that. Because race, you know, is a component of the class struggle. Racism is a way that rich people keep us divided and fighting each other. The same thing goes for sexism. Sexism, if they pay women less than men, do men have an advantage in that? Of course not. The rich people have an advantage of that, because then they could pay women less than men for the same job. And so on Dr. King Day, which is also 2 days before Joe Biden is crowned the King of America, is a good day for us to have our demands and to be out in the street and educating the people, because the system, when it's not trying to brainwash us, is trying to sow confusion and doubt. And with doubt and confusion, it could easily neutralize us and divide us. So stop watching CNN, stop watching MSNBC, stop watching Fox News. Come to programs like this, because you can depend on us. And there's also the Real News Network. There's the Gray Zone. There's the Black Agenda Report. There's the Jimmy Dore Show. There's so many shows. There's Ralph Pointer, one of our colleagues and mentors, has a blog talk show on Tuesday nights. That show is much more valuable than anything CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News can put out there. So thank you all for being here tonight. And thank you to the guests. This was great. We need to do this again. It was so inspiring and so wonderful. I'm glad that people will be able to watch this show after we finish. It'll be on Facebook and YouTube. And I think, you know, we have to work to publicize this show more, and we need to have those conversations on how we do that. Because I think, especially like the content like tonight was so is superior than anything I've ever seen on Fox News, CNN, or MSNBC, honestly. And I want to thank the three of you because this is what the people need. This is exactly what the people need. So thank you, and all power to the people.
All power to the people.
All power to the people.